Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another installment of Guiding Lines. This is Billboard Comics' regular, recurring feature every Friday on the dot, recapping. Well, hopefully on the dot, but don't hold me to that. I'm not making promises if I'm not able to keep. But every Friday, I look at the upcoming week's new releases. I'm recording this a little bit earlier than I usually do, like a day or two beforehand, because I have stuff going on. It's my birthday on Sunday. Thank you very much. Thank you. You're great. Thank you. You're too kind. But I digress. This weekly look at the new releases. So, kind of a guide to advise you what I think looks good, what doesn't look bad, what doesn't look good, stuff that's starting, stuff that's ending, stuff that you should be on the lookout for, and stuff that facsimiles are coming out in case you're into that. Last week I didn't have any big book of the week's candidates. This week I have two, and I chose the one that I'm going to rant less about, but it's not going to be exactly a pleasant one to get through. At least for me, at least. You might enjoy the heck out of it. But you know what? Enough chit chat. Let's get right to the big book of the week. This week, the big book of the week is from Fantagraphics. Now, this is an independent book, and independent books I usually try to shy away from, or at least unless they're a major independent book, from this section, because they're not really dependable all the times with releasing books when they're supposed to. However, I haven't seen anything from Fantagraphics that has been scheduled and not come out, so I'm giving it a chance on this, but they have the most historically important book of this week, and that makes it the worthy candidate for the big book of the week. Which book is that? That's Tales of Paranoia, number 1. This is the first comic book written and drawn by R.Crumb, Robert Crumb, for those of you who don't know, in 27 years. 27 years. For you, that might be just impressive in and of itself, but if you don't know who R.Crumb is one of the biggest names in underground comics ever. He is obviously one of the most talented artists in it. He rose the underground comics away from being just basically stuff for hippies and head shops to stuff with some sort of artistic comment and psychological impact. He had broken open the doors for everybody from the Gilbert Shelton to the Hernandez brothers to Peter Baggy to even people working in independent comics today. His artwork on American Splendor rose the profile of Harvey Pekar to a more national attention. Without R.Crumb doing the artwork for Pekar's American Splendor, he would never be on Dave Letterman. I would probably pretty much guarantee that. But why am I going to be spicy about this? Well, if you are not familiar with R.Crumb's work, let me explain to you what it is. There's a lot of stuff in there. He created Mr. Natural. He created Fritz the Cat. Fritz the Cat was adapted into an animated film in the 70s. He's kind of a big deal about this. And there's a lot of stuff that he does, commentary on social norms and stuff like this. But a healthy percentage of his work is of a sexual nature. And not just sexual nature. I know when I talk about this, and I make little jokes about in previous weeks about people having variant covers with naked people on there, and snide comments. It might make you think that I'm a prude. I'm not. If there's anybody out, there's probably people who I know out there who might be watching this. If they are, they're probably raising their hands and saying, "Can't confirm." I know that. But you don't have to be approved to be uncomfortable supporting an artist who writes a comic book about parents who are having carnal relations with their children. And R.Crumb did that. And of course, his defenders will probably say it's taking the parody of the typical media presentation of the ideal American family, turning it on its ear, taking it to its most absurd level. I get that. I understand that. But first of all, does it really need to go to that level? Does it? And that's just one example. A lot of his work is filled with what many people considered misogyny and violence against women and very non-female positive ideas and role models. This is especially presented by him and other people as him simply, he has to release the dark thoughts inside his mind, the dark part of his psyche, onto the page. He's uncontrollable to do that. And that's BS. You don't have to write that and do that and stuff like this. It made me uncomfortable, and it makes me even more uncomfortable that I have a female daughter here who I would love to have be respected as she's going on the world as an equal to everybody, men, women, whatever. And I'm slowly seeing like her trying to be like the government and other people trying to put her, just because of her gender, into a little hole and a little kind of like cubby that she should go in there and be a wife and have babies, and that's all you're good for. She's good for a whole lot more than that, in my personal opinion. But I digress. R.Crumb is an example that this kind of stuff has been happening for decades. He's been a comic book creator since 1967. And I don't know if this is going. That's the same themes are going to carry through this. I don't know if he's burned all that kind of like negative female presentation in his work out. He's 81, so who knows what it's going to be. It looks like the cover looks like it's going to be a kind of a list of annoyances about all the people who are the usual targets in society and pop culture and American culture these days. So this could be like, you know, those milk toast vanilla R.Crumb you could possibly get, or most populist R.Crumb you could possibly get. And that's not enough for me. I recognize his talent and his ability. He is a beautiful artist. He's a great draftsman. He's a great storyteller. I'm not comfortable with supporting that kind of content. I'm not the biggest, feminist in the entire world. I like looking at the female form as much as the next guy, unless the next guy is like Bill Clinton or something like that. But it never made me comfortable doing this. Does he deserve to be in a Will Eisner Hall of Fame? Yes. He has done so much for the industry of comic books that it's hard to calculate. But however, he has created artwork that some people might consider hurtful and damaging. And it's hard to reconcile the two, in my mind at least. Many people have different ways to do this. If you have made this own kind of walk down this dark path and have made your peace with R.Crumb as an artist, and you're okay with that and you understand where he's coming from, you don't take his misogyny as being true misogyny, leave something in the comments and we could have a discussion about it. But as it stands, it's I would like to advise you of this because I think it's an important work, but I can't really recommend you pick it up because I am not going to pick it up, and I wouldn't. I just can't. So, welcome to the Big Book of the Week recommendation that's not a recommendation. But you do your own due diligence and come up with your own opinions. And like I said, if you have different opinions of mine or you have an agreement of mine, you elaborate more for people who might not know him, leave it in the comments and stuff like this. This is going to be $5.99 for 36 pages. It's going to be a one-shot. And it's going to be written and drawn by R.Crumb, I think. And he's also doing lettering and everything like that. I don't know if it's going to be color. Probably going to be black and white. So, because that's usually, I think he usually worked in black and white, if I'm not mistaken. But you'll have all that there. And, make your own decision. If you want to pick it up and just take a look at it, just on your own merits. But like I said, historically important, not something I could actually recommend. All right, that's enough of that one. Let's now move on to the new series coming out next week. All right, I'm going to start off with Udon. Why am I starting off with Udon? Because they have 5 new releases coming out there, 5 number ones. How many am I going to cover right now? 2. Why? Because 3 of them were already solicited in weeks prior. For newcomers to this segment, I usually, if it's been solicited once, you only get one shot of me going through everything, like the price, the number of copies, the variants, and everything like that. If it doesn't come out that week, I'll just do something at the end that I call, let's try this again, and I'll just give you a brief rundown of the books that are resolicited and where you can find the original comment, original segment in this series that you can watch and track down what you want to do. And these 2 that I have here are probably stuff that has been already solicited before I started doing this. One of the ones that is coming out that was supposed to be originally come out the first week I started this sub-segment of the channel. And the first episode of Guidelines ever, which was back in March 26th. Yes, 7 months ago, and it's still being listed today. Now, a brief explanation. I get my information from the League of Comic Geeks website. I consider that invaluable. I think it's a great service. They also have, if you follow my other shows on this thing, I did a whole thing about databases and used them as one of the stuff you could track your comic collection through their website. I think they're very valuable, and I recommend them there. And they usually have a way. We don't like to go this for new releases. You could like sort the stuff there, because like I want to cover new releases. I just say just #1 issues, and I'll have every #1 issue there. And I could click off no reprints, no like no reprints, no special editions or anything like that. And like it'll take out all the. It'll only have the new #1s, and not like a #1 that has a second printing or another variant cover that's delayed. So I like doing that. I take that into consideration, like that it is just giving me the new things and no reprints or second printings or anything like that. So I don't believe these are second printings. I think there's just stuff that Udon has dropped the ball for 6 months, and are finally getting able to do this all in one fell swoop. And who knows? I don't believe Udon is tied up in the whole Diamond bankruptcy like the Dynamite has. They might be, and this might be why they're kind of like carb loading a whole bunch of books all at 1 week, because like Diamond was holding on to them for him. Who knows? That might be a case there. In that case, I apologize, but still, I'm not going to like give another rundown for the 3 books that have already been listed. Like I said, these 2 have my come out before I started this network, this channel, this series on my channel. But I haven't seen them before, so you get them fresh and you get the full service treatment for these 2. All right, we're going to start off now with Mega Man Legends Timelines #1. $4.99 for 32 pages. Be written by David Oxford. Art by Meek Fong. There'll be 2 open order covers to support this. Cover B by Bagun. That's Bacun. The tastiest artist ever. Cover C will be by Jeffrey Champa Cruz. There'll be 1 incentive, a cover D, a 1 in 5 by Josh Perez, and a retailer variant. Udon always has a variant that is exclusive to their web store, and this issue is no different. One by Keen Biscuit. The cover X1. So if you're a big fan of Keen Biscuit, log on to Udon on Wednesday and see if you could pick that up. Log on now if you can pick it up now. The second one I'm going to cover in this section is Street Fighter Masters Zangief #1. $4.99 for 32 pages. Written by Chris Saraceni. Art by Matthew Weldon. And covered by Gonzalo Ordonez. There'll be 1 open order cover to go along with it. A cover B by Matthew Weldon. And 1 incentive. Cover C, a 1 in 5 by Dan Figueroa. There will be 2 retail exclusives on the Udon web store, both done by Inkpot. Cover #1 and cover #2. It doesn't feature Zangief on it. You can see it up there. It's a woman with very sizable posterior in 2 different costumes. So if that's your thing, that's your thing. All right, now we're going to move on to Marvel. Marvel has a whole bunch of new #1s coming out. None, I think they've drawn back on the whole new #1s for the Age of Revelation tie-in. All the series that are going to be for that crossover have been coming out. Second issues are starting to hit, so we're done with a new for that. So in case you're wondering, like, ooh, do I have them all? You have them all, if you've got everyone up to this point. All right, but we're going to start with this spin-off from the last big crossover that they had, Imperial, Planet She-Hulk #1. $4.99 for 32 pages. It appears to be an ongoing series. That's what, like I said online, it seemed like it, like I heard quoting online, it's going to be an ongoing series, which means they'll probably run 10 issues and be canceled. I hope not, because if it runs 12 issues with the legacy numbering, I believe I saw this on the comment section of League of Comic Geeks. It'll be the 200th issue of featuring She-Hulk, from Savage to Sensational to all the Dan Slott issues and the Charles Soule series and the Rainbow Raw series. So like it'll be supposedly 200 issues altogether. So maybe they could make it, even if it's not doing well, and keep it from the typical 10 issue death sentence to make it a 12 count. But I digress. It's just starting, so why are we hoping for it to die? I'm not, but forewarned is forearmed. There'll be 4 open order covers to go along with this. One by In-hyuk Lee, Street Verse variant. One by Jenny Friesen. One by Matteo Loli, which is going to be a foil variant. And one by Torrin Clark. There'll be 3 incentives. A 1 in 25 Fan Yang incentive. A 1 in 50 of the In-hyuk Lee Street Verse, but a version of it. And one of the Jenny Friesen variant, 1 in 100, and it's going to be a virgin as well. This one is going to have 2 retailer exclusives. Conglomerate, that is 616 Comics, Comic Traders, and Comics Elite are releasing 2 by Alexander Lozalo, 1 with trade dress and 1 virgin. Next up, Alien vs. Captain America. This is one that I have on my pull list and I can't wait to get. Big fan of Captain America from back in the day, and I like to see how he would react to the aliens. This takes place during World War II, and Hydra has decided to find a new effort to fight the United States forces, and it's Xenomorphs. You had me at Xenomorphs. $5.99 for 32 pages, a 4-issue limited series. It'll be written by Frank Thierry, art by Stefano Raffaelli, colors by Niraj Menon, and covered by Leniel Francis Yu on art and Romulo Fajardo Jr. on colors. There'll be 2 open order variants, a Dan Panosian foil, really cool one with the shield with the facehugger on top of it, and one by In-hyuk Lee. There'll be 3 incentives, a 1 in 25 by Paulo Sequeira, a 1 in 50 by Phil Noto, and a 1 in 100 by Leniel Francis Yu Virgin cover. It's a version of his main cover for the thing. There's another one up there, but it's a collection of the Disney Infinite stories around Echo. It has a nice cover by David Mack on it, but since it's a reprint of something that was already available, I don't cover those here, so in case you're wondering why I'm not talking about that. Alright, I've come to DC, and this would be my second proposed thing for the big book of the week, but I already covered DC K.O. previously in the big book of the week, and B, this would be just me ranting about how stupid this storyline is. This is DC K.O. Night Fight number 1. Now, I know this is probably going to be an unpopular opinion because I was at the comic store over the weekend, and there seems to be a lot of people talking about this series and just genuine excitement about that. A little, almost giddy with glee about how, wow, I can't wait. Who's going to win? Who's going to do this? That kind of excitement going on with this thing, and I have to admit, I just don't see it. Maybe I'm old. Maybe I'm like cynical, bitter. Maybe I just, maybe I just like my mother. Maybe I'm never satisfied. I don't know what that's. I'm sorry, friends. Forgive me. But for me, even before going to this, I didn't put this on my pull list because it just seems like such a goofy kind of pick me kind of concept. It's, hey, what can we do to get most attention to us? Let's have heroes fight each other in a tournament to the death, but they won't really die. They'll come back afterwards. We'll write that into the series, and then we'll have let's see who's going up against each other. Oh well, it seems like the fight concept was created first, and they decided to build a scaffolding to shore up the concept afterwards. The plot, the reason for this thing happening, and stuff like this. It's basically the whole plot is basically constructed as a ways and means to get to the thing of having the superheroes fighting against each other to the death. And it seems pretty wacky. Darkseid is going to come back. He's more powerful than he's ever been. He's going to destroy the world in 7 days. A bunch of time-traveling villains? People have come back and decided to hey, we're going to create a new reality for you, just to give you a warning. Just, you won't even notice it, but we want to give you a warning beforehand because otherwise the plot won't happen. Because I read the first book. The first book is on DC Infinities or whatever their digital comic platform is. So I got to read it without actually buying it. Well, except for paying for the subscription price. It wasn't a good book. It wasn't. And I like Josh Williamson. I like Scott Snyder. I like them as writers. The artwork is very interesting and very well done. It took me a while to get into it, but I like the way they did the characterization in that. But nonetheless, it seems like it's went too fast, and it's just like speeding through it just to get through it. And there's no real tension built up. There's no really nothing like stakes on the end. There's like so many characters that are just on there. Hey, how you doing? Going there, get killed off. We're supposed to be kind of like, oh, Shazam got killed. Spoiler warning: Shazam gets killed. Oh, gets killed, which is kind of like doesn't have the impact that they wanted to have because A, they made a plot point saying that whoever wins could remake the entire world in their kind of like own image or of their choosing of however they want to. And B, his death is given like 2 panels. He appears in the book for 2 panels. He's there. Hi, how you doing? Oh yeah, we can find who's going to win between us, and he gets stomped on by one of the bad guys. That's not a powerful death. That's not an impactful death. That's not anything that's going to have anything more than just cheap. It's not even good for cheap, tawdry shock value because at least that they kind of like make the character more definitive. Apparently, Black Canary died in the original kind of going in there. I think because they have like statues of all the people who've fallen, and Blue Beetle, and I don't know if they happen in other books besides the DC K.O. #1, but they're gone. They have statues to say they're dead. Who knows if they're going to come back, and who knows if they're going to control it, and stuff like this. And they try to keep the bad guys out because they don't like just imagine Joker creating the world in his own image afterwards. Can you imagine what kind of horrible thing that would be? That would be interesting outcome, but it's not going to happen because Superman's going to win. You could tell from the very first frame, the very first panel of the issue that it's going to be Superman. It's going to be Superman. And another thing is like if you're going to have somebody who's going to fight out against the ultimate powerful dark side, you'd have your big guns go in there. You have like from the Authority, Apollo. You have like Lobo. You'd have like Martian Manhunter. You'd have all the Green Lanterns. All the Supermen, Wonder Woman, Power Girl, Supergirl. Anybody who is a big major threat to go in there, who give you the best chance of being this guy from the get-go, but have them actually come there and get the power that they get through combat because it's like kind of like a quasi Highlander kind of thing. There could only be one, and then if he gets rid of all of them, then he becomes big. It's just daffy. Another person who got killed in that first issue was Batman. Big panel, big shard through his chest. It's the comic book kind of killing where even though his lungs and heart are kind of obliterated by the stabbing that came through, he's still able to get one word out to Clark. Save Martha! No, it's not that bad. But he said, remember what I told you? Which is basically take your gloves off and get nasty. And of course, Batman's not going to die. And we don't have to wait much longer because that's what this whole thing is about. This is Batman who, like I said, was pretty definitively dead. Like, the thing went through his heart and lungs and probably hit his spleen and like his liver and stuff like that. There is absolutely no way he could have possibly survived this, except for the thing that he's Batman. Of course they're not going to kill Batman. Batman, you could sell money for doing this. Especially you have this kind of offshoot kind of thing that he's trying to get to the truth behind this and stuff like this. But he's going through a hellscape of Gotham City that's not like his own, and he has to fight off all the future Batmen that have ever been. And who will they be? They're going to be his Robins from the past who have grown up to become Batman of their own realities. Dick Grayson, Jason Todd, Tim Drake. I don't know what they're going to do with Stephanie Brown, but they're going to do Damian Wayne, and he's going to have to fight them, I guess, all to the death, because it's more important to have them all fight to the death, because it's really, really, really cool, and not COOLKEWL, cool. And it's just like, this is I just can't get into this. This is just like, it's so aggressively trying to push all the buttons on a certain person, a fan, and like, I'm not trying to say like I have taste better than most people. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. I like to think I do sometimes. Sometimes I'm way below what people consider to be a good comic book, but I enjoy it anyway. But it's trying to push all the buttons to try to make this the biggest possible thing there. Another thing I like about this that has been out since the first, when I did the first thing about this, the big book of the week devoted to this, is they're bringing other characters from other companies and other realities and from the world of film in. It's going to be Vampirella's coming over, Red Sonja's coming over, the Highlander's coming over, which is delicious because DC once published The Boys and got rid of it because it was too racy. It went to Dynamite, and they're getting it back now again. And the bear from Under Trees Where No One Sees, she's coming over, and she's going to fight. Annabelle from the horror movies, which is owned by Warner Brothers, so at least don't have to, like, they don't pay for anything. This is what I found out too. I don't know if that's a secret there. They probably don't pay for any of these kind of cameos. It's just for exposure. Another reason why I hate it. And it's not going to stop there. I've heard other companies that are going to have certain members of their kind of casts coming over. I'm not going to say which, because I don't know if it's for certain yet or not, but yeah, it's not going to end with just this batch. And you know what? That's the one good thing about this, because God knows DC does not have enough interesting characters to field a field of 32 characters fighting against each other. That is hashtag sarcasm, because they have the biggest and best line of characters ever. So many people that have untapped potential that they could have spotlight in this kind of like format, and they decide to go put Annabelle in there killing people. And why would Annabelle care about the continued existence of the DC universe, unless like she's used as a plan to kind of counterbalance that? I don't know. I don't really care, but that's my little rant about DC K.O. If you like it, if I think I'm overreacting, take up umbrage with me in the comments, respectfully. This is, I'm not going to have you yell at me saying like you're an idiot, it rocks, because I'm not going to respond to that. If you have some serious kind of discussion you want to go into this, by all means, please. But that's not the only new issue that DC is coming out with. They're also having one with Harley and Poison Ivy. Harley and Ivy, Life and Crimes, #1. This is going to be $3.99 for 32 pages. It's going to be a 6-issue series. Writing, art, and cover will be by Erica Henderson. If you had money in a perfect world, people would be buying this one in droves and leaving the night fight on the stands. But I know that's not going to happen. It's going to be the reverse, and that's no bueno. It's going to have 4 other covers. Wait a minute, hold on. Let me go back to Knife Fight, because I forgot the alternate covers for that. This is for DC K.O. Night Fight. They're going to have 3 other covers. So cover B by John Boy Myers, cover C by Carrie Andrews, and cover D by Fabrizio Del Tomaso. All right? Cut that out of the video and get some glue and paste it on the other one, and we'll be fine. The Harley and Ivy Life and Crimes series is going to be supported, the first issue at least, is going to be supported by 4 other covers. Cover B by Elizabeth Torque, cover C by Nathan Zerdy, cover D by Leslie Lyrics Lee, and cover E by Nathan Zerdy, a foil virgin variant. I guess it's a foil version of his other incentive cover. Other cover, his other variant cover. All right, next move on to Image. We have a new comic book out that's not a comic book. What? Say what, Bill? What? I mean, come on, I'm sick and tired of your games. I listened to your rant about DC K.O. I listened to you about dragging R.Crumb's name through the mud. What's going on? All right. Ice Cream Man, the Immortal Coil Shuffle, Cards Set Special #1. It's not a comic book. It's not. It's a $9.99 one-shot deck of cards. The narrative aspect of the actual story is going to be in a series of cards. I guess if you lay it out one after one another, you'll follow the story along. And there's also going to be spells included in there. They make a special point of saying out in the solicitations that there's going to be spells in there. So if you want to turn your next door neighbor into a toad, maybe you'll find out how to do that here. It's going to be written by W. Maxwell Prince, art by Martin Morazzo, colors by Chris O'Halloran, letters by Good Old Neon, and the cover by Martin Morazzo. There's no variant because, of course, it's a card set. And if I do seem a little spicy about this, let me. I actually, seriously, legitimately dig this concept. I think comic books are malleable, that you could have explorations into different formats and different features and stuff like this. Is this the first card set that has ever been a narrative comic book for an ongoing series? Absolutely not. See Defiant. Their first issues, or their zero issues for Where's the Plasm and Good Guys and Dark Dominion, all were card sets that you had to collect and use them as doing stuff. But it never in this format, never probably well done. They've showed pictures of like the final product on the solicitation and on the website. They're promoting it pretty well, and it looks very high quality, very well done. So I don't think this is going to catch on. I don't think there's going to be every company's going to have, instead of comic books, deck of cards you could do that. But I just kudos for them actually going off on a limb with one of their most popular titles and doing something different and exciting. Much more exciting than the whole DC K.O. This is true excitement. This is true ingenuity compared to that. Next up, we are going to go Ahoy, Death Dog. I promised my wife I was going to say the title, Death Dog, like that. And now I'm regretting it because my throat is a little sore, and now it's even more sore. It's $4.99 for 32 pages. It's going to be a 2-issue series, written by Bryce Ingman, art and cover by Alan Robinson. There'll be one other cover, a cover B by Shannon Wheeler. This is a story of a kid in a kind of like a more dystopian future than our own. Hard to imagine, but yes. Who is wrongly accused of shoplifting and is chased by a series of robot guard dogs who are meant to enact severe justice upon them. Except one has a little glitch in him, and instead of becoming its meting out punishment to the kid, becomes its ally and friend and its pet. I think that's brilliant. I think it's a very, very, very smart concept, and it's the whole thing about AI and free will and stuff like this. Maybe it's putting a little bit too happy a face on it, but nonetheless, it is. I think it's a pretty good story, and I wish I read this before. I would have probably added this to my pull list. But if your LSCS has this, maybe flip through it and see if it's for you. At least be aware if that's out there. Next up, we have Dark Horse, Space Scouts #1, $7.99 for 40 pages. That might seem a little bit pricey, but it's a magazine-sized one, kind of like the Desiree ones that are, bigger and well shaped like magazines. So forth and therefore and forthwith. Written by Matt Kint, art and cover by David Rubin. It seems like another interesting concept, but most of the things to think about this is like no offense to Mr. Rubin and his cover, it has an alternate cover by the legendary Sergio Aragones. I don't know why, I don't know how they got him. I saw it online. It's beautiful. Buy it just for the alternate cover alone. I mean, I can't believe that there's anybody out there who knows Sergio Aragones does not love Sergio Aragones. He is a legend. He's a master. Mad Magazine, the little panel drawings and his regular contribution to that grew. Another one. To know Sergio Aragones is to love him, and to have these guys getting him to do an alternate cover for this, a variant cover for this, man, that's some good mojo. So maybe I'll try to find if I can track that down someplace. Way to go, Dark Horse. Way to go. Well, it should be that out the question. Dark Horse holds the GRU license. They publish GRU for Sergio Aragones. So obviously they have a relationship. So they could have said, "Hey, do you have time to do an alternate cover for this stuff?" And but of course, I would love to do that. Met him once at New York Comic Con. Not New York Comic Con, Big Apple Comic Con. This is the rinky-dink one that is in usually a hotel ballroom and stuff like this. Old school kind of comic book con in New York. Met him and Mark Evener, two of my idols, who are totally sweet. My wife was there, and one thing I love about him, I imagine he's a Spaniard, and like from actual Spain. I could be wrong. He might be from some other Latin American country. I don't know, but when my wife came over, like, "Hi, this is." Oh, by the way, this is my wife. He stood up and he goes, "Pleased to meet you." Looked her in the eyes, and like I swooned. She swooned. Such a gentleman, and not like creepy, like, "Hey, how you doing?" Gentlemanly, great. I'll have that memory for the rest of my life, and she will too. And yeah, so we're team Sergio Aragones here in this household. So don't step to him because you're going to get slapped. Not really, because I'm not a violent guy, and I can't slap to the screen. Just end up bad. All right, Dynamite has one new issue coming out, which is essentially like 13 issues. It is Thundercats, Pumira, number 1. $5.99 for 48 pages. It's a one-shot special. It's one of the ones they're doing for all the assorted cast members of the Thundercats. They all get their moment in the sun, and with 12 alternate variant covers. The story will be written by Ed Brisson. Art will be by Alice Leclerc. And the cover will be by Clayton Henry. At least the main cover will be, because there will be 6 open order variants and 6 incentive variants. The 6 open order variants are as follows. Cover B by Sebastian Perez. Cover C by Bob Quinn. Cover D by Will Robson. Cover E is going to be a blank, authentic variant, so you could have whatever artist you want to draw on it. Cover F will be a Bob Quinn metal version. Make up your own jokes for that. I'm not even going near that, especially after what I said about R.Crumb. No way I'm touching metal virgin. And cover M will be a Will Robson black and white FOC bonus. I still don't. I have to ask somebody else. Maybe I'll ask like my local comic shop owner, Mark, what this actually means. I think it means that it's a special bonus variant cover that you get if you order more copies of this issue at or around the final cutoff date of the actual ordering thing. I could be wrong, but we'll find out. I'll try to find out for you. The 6 incentives they have is cover G, a Will Robson virgin. That's going to be a 1 in 10. Another 1 in 10 will be a Bob Quinn virgin. Cover I will be a 1 in 15 Sebastian Perez virgin. Cover J will be a 1 in 15 virgin of the main Clayton Henry cover. Cover K will be a 1 in 5 Sebastian Perez black and white FOC bonus. And cover L will be a 1 in 7 Bob Quinn black and white FOC bonus. Next up, IDW. I think last week was 2 weeks ago was the end of, no, last week was the end of Monster High House Haunters, and they're not letting the concept get cold in the grave, especially when Halloween's around, or Halloween just finished by the time this is published. Forget what I said, because they have a new Monster High out. Monster High, Shock and Awe, and Aw's AWW. So actually, it should be pronounced Shock and Awe. So, Monster High Shock and Awe. It will be written by Heather Nolfer, art by Kelly Riley, letters by Shin Ya Chan, and the cover will be Tsukiyomo. There'll be no alternate covers, thank goodness. Next up, Ignition Press, No Place number 1. $4.99 for 32 pages. I don't know how long it's going to be. I couldn't find anything online tell me that. And I looked through 3 pages of Google for you. Sorry. Writing by Tim Seeley. Art, colors, and cover by Stefano Simeone. And the letters would be by And World Design. There'll be one open order cover, a cover B by Tim Seeley, and one incentive, a cover C by Christian Ward. Mad Cave has a new one, and it falls into the new, hottest subgenre in comic books today, a murder mystery set place in ancient Rome. That's a joke for anybody who picked up Rome Eternal on their pull list. And, unfortunately, Magma apparently is having financial difficulties, I've heard. And so I don't know if that series is ever going to get finished. I'm still waiting to receive 3, and 4 is supposed to come out in a couple months. I enjoyed what I got out of it. I thought it was pretty fun. But we have another one. This is Circus Maximus, number 1, $4.99 for 32 pages. Written by Mark Sable. Art by Giorgio Fontanelli. Get an Italian artist to draw something in ancient Rome. That's the perfect use of the Italian artists. You save money, and you have cultural authenticity. Colors will be by Emilio Lecce. Letters by Dave Sharp. And the cover will be by Paul Azaceta. One other cover will be by a cover B by Francesco Francavilla. Basically, this the concept behind this, and it's not by Mad Cave, so it's going to be good. I'm a big fan of Mad Cave books because they usually have quality books coming out. It's going to be a caper, a robbery caper, set during the fall of Rome, during Nero's reign. The Rome is burning kind of thing. Interesting concept. Again, this is one I did add to my pull list, and I'm going to be getting. I'm looking forward to. All right, moving on to Oni Press, which has Groansville number 1 coming out. This is a horror book set on real-world events. $4.99 for 48 pages, written by Rodney Barnes, a prolific author that Mr. Barnes is. Art by Ilya Bonetti, and a cover by Jason Sean Alexander. This will be have 2 open orders, a cover B by Ilya Bonetti, and a cover C by Zyman Kuransky. There'll be 3 incentives, a cover D, a 1 in 10 by Jason Sean Alexander, Virgin cover. I guess it's a version of his main cover. Cover E, which will be a 1 in 20 by Andrea Sorrentino. And cover F will be a 1 in 50, also by Sorrentino, but it's going to be a black and white variant of his previous cover. Cover. Without color, because it'll be black and white. All right, next up, Titan. Doctor Who, The Prison Paradox, number 1. Be written by Dan Waters, art by Sammy Cavella, cover by Jay Anacleto. There'll be 7 other covers. Cover B will be a photo cover. Cover C will be a Sammy Cavella homage cover. Cover D will be a Natalia Lipuni cover. Cover E will be by Flops. Cover C will be a Jay Anacleto foil virgin. I believe that's up his main cover. Cover G will be a Flops black and white cover. Color your own virgin. Sorry about that. And cover H will be a Jay Anacleto virgin. And finally, we have one last new issue from Xenoscope. It will be King Dracula, number 1. $4.99 for 32 pages. Written by David Wall and Joe Broscia. I don't know who's doing the art, they didn't list it, but the cover will be by Carlo Casal. I believe that's his name. If it's not, I apologize to him and his entire family and everybody who works for Xenoscope. There'll be 4 other covers to go along with this. Cover B will be by Igor Vittorino. Cover C will be by Ivan Tal. Cover will be by Al Barrion-Ruevo. Cover C will be by Marco Santucci. Next, let's go to the 4 books. Yes, 4 books that we have in the Let's Try This Again. Again! 4 books, Bill. You said there's going to be 3 from Udon. Well, yeah, Udon's not the only publisher that has stuff that didn't come out when it was supposed to. Take, like, Antarctic. They have Toy Box Guardians, resolicited for this week, number 1. It was in my 8/24/25 release date episode. So look for like the comic books released on the week of August 24th if you want to find this, and you could scrub to whichever way you want to get to the NR to find out the variants, covers, and the artists and whatnot on that. The 3 from Udon are Street Fighter, Guile, number 1. I was covered this back for the week of 3/26/25. You don't have to actually look hard for that. It's the first video I ever made in the Guiding Lines segment. If you look up the Guiding Lines playlist, it'll be already probably at the bottom or at the top. I don't know which way it comes up doing sorting. So you don't really have to actually put much effort in to find that. Next up will be Mega Man ZY Timelines. Again, it's by Udon. I covered this on 9/10/2025. And more recently, Street Fighter Elena, number 1, which I covered on the new releases for the week of 10/22/25. So if you're interested in any of those, go to those episodes, scan through, and find out what the new variant covers are and stuff like that. All right, moving on now to the final issues of the week. All right, we're going to start off with Dark Horse. Dark Horse is bringing to close Huck, the Big Bad World number 6. This is another Millar World entry. I think this is a designed, and it's not being canceled. It just was a miniseries. $4.99 for 32 pages. Again, written by Mark Millar. Art by Raphael Albuquerque. Colors by Dave McCraig. Letters by Glenn Robbins. And the cover would be by Raphael Albuquerque. There'll be one other cover. A cover B by Raphael Albuquerque, a black and white variant. I guess of his main cover. Dark Horse is also bringing back Tex Arcanum with number 4, $4.99 for 32 pages. It is written by Christopher Monfett. Art and cover by Miguel Martos. Colors by Patricio DeFeni. Letters by Michael Heisler. There'll be no alternate covers for that. Thank goodness. Mad Cave is bringing 3 books to an end this week. 3. Starting off with Vanishing Point, the sci-fi anthology from Mark Russell. This is coming to an end with number 6. $4.99 for 32 pages. Written by Russell. Art by Ryan Altain. And color by Sidney Davidson. And the cover by color by Sidney Davidson and color by Marcus Toe. Whatever Happened to Crimson Justice is coming to an end with number 6. $4.99 for 32 pages. Written by Frank Thierry. Art by Inaki Miranda. Colors by Eva de la Cruz. Letters by Dave Sharp. And the cover will be by Inaki Miranda. Bitchcraft will be coming in with number 5. Again, $4.99 for 32 pages. Written by Aaron Reese. Art by Lim Carell. Colors by Bex Glendino. Letters by Morgan Martinez. And a cover by A.L. Kaplan. No alternate covers or variant covers for any of those series. Next up, AWA. My favorite company ever. Charlemagne the God presents Illuminati. Is coming to an end with number 5. $3.99 for 28 pages. Written by Brian Hill. Pencils by Dennis Cohen. Inks by Bill Sienkiewicz. Colors by Marco Lesko. Letters by World Design. Cover by Dennis Cohen on art and Marco Lesko on colors. The final issue, the new final issue at least for this week, is Post Malone's Big Rig number 4 from Vault. $6.99 for 48 pages. It's written by Adrian K. Wassel and Austin Post. Austin Post is the aforementioned Post Malone, in case you didn't know. Art by Nathan Gooden. Colors by Dershing Helmer. Letters by Jim Campbell. And a cover by Nathan Gooden. And let me just say, it's pretty inventive that Post Malone chooses his last name as his first name in his as a stage name. Because if somebody's yelling across a crowd theater, Post, his last name is Post. He's probably heard people call him Post beforehand, so he knows to recognize for it. That's why I would love to have a stage name like a wrestler has or some entertainer has, But I'd be too afraid I'd forget what my stage name is, and I wouldn't answer when they called me. A little trip inside my psyche, and, not as scary as R.Crumb, but it's not exactly unscary. Alright, there'll be 2 open order variants to go along with this. Cover I will be by Tyler Kirkham. Cover J will be by Peach Momoko. There'll be 2 incentives as well. Cover G will be a 1 in 10 by Maria Wolf. And cover H will be a black and white variant of that Maria Wolf cover in a 1 in 25 breakdown. There is one. Let's try this again. Again! Alright, it's going to be Bronze Faces from Boom. This, you don't have to really go back much to check out this if you want to find out all the specifics about artist and writer and covers. It was last week we covered this. It just is relisted this week, a week later. We do have 1 issues a note, and I have a bone to pick with Boom.
This looks interesting.
Alright, Minor Arcana is coming out with number 11. $4.99 for 32 pages. It appears to be an ongoing. Written and art by Jeff Lemire. Colors by Patricio Delpeche. And cover by Jeff Lemire. There'll be 3 open order covers going with this. Cover B by Emmy Lennox. Cover E by Martin Simmons. Cover F will be by Emmy Lennox, but a virgin. There'll be 2 incentives. Cover C, a 1 in 10 by Jeff Lemire, tarot card virgin. And cover D will be a 1 in 20, Tanchi Zonic virgin. I listed this a couple weeks ago, probably in August, because that's when the last one was solicited as being canceled. The League of Comic Geeks didn't have anything solicited after that issue, and the solicitation made it seem like it was going to be the final issue. There's an air of finality about the rundown. Imagine my surprise when I see this coming up in the potential new releases. Apparently, Jeff Lemire needed to take a couple weeks off, a couple months off from doing this one, so he can continue to ruin the Justice Society of America. But he's back again. And it's starting back up again. So I don't know if this is going to be... if it ends for real, you might not never knew it. I don't know if I'm going to include this on a thing. Or if I do see it as potentially ending, I will try to scour the internet to make sure that it is actually officially canceled and done and done with. So I apologize for the confusion. I blame Boom, but you could blame me because I should have done better. Alright, on that cheery note, let's wrap this up with our last segment, facsimiles. Alright, there's 2 companies that have facsimiles. I'm going to start off with the first one. DC is doing a facsimile for Batman 47. What is the historical importance of this? It recaps the origin in fuller detail of Batman. I believe it also introduces the Batplane and Batmobile, I think. But don't hold me on that. I think but it is a rather big key for you to actually follow. And, you'll be saved some money by getting it this way. There will be 3 things that are doing about this. There's going to be a facsimile version, which you saw at the beginning of this. There's going to be a foil variant. I don't post pictures of foils because usually the picture they have on the comic book website is the same as the regular facsimile, and it's just with a metallic cover. But this one I'm going to show you, it's going to be a blank variant, a yellow cover that you could have somebody draw the Batmobile on if you want to. Knock yourself out. Next, we're moving on to Archie, and this is the second week in a row that Archie is having a facsimile. I don't like the look of this. It's enough work to just have Marvel and DC do one, so knock it off. I kid. Archie has as rich a history, if not richer in many ways, than Marvel and DC. So you do what you want to do, Archie. Don't listen to me. Nobody else does. But the book they're going to do is quite historically important. It's going to be Sabrina the Teenage Witch #1. There'll be two facsimiles to do with, a regular out-and-out facsimile. And they're also going to do a 2025 Andy Price variant, which is, you just get to have a different cover on top of that. Pretty cool. All right, that's it for the new releases guidelines for this week. I I hope you don't mind me being a little spicy for a couple stuff in this. Do you agree with what I have to say about R.Crumb, or do you have a different perspective on the man, his artwork, and his like the? Do you think like the accusations of misogyny and violence against women pinned on him are wrong? Do you love DC K.O. and you are able to defend it to your dying day about this, or do you think it's just basically overall pick me kind of series that is just not really well made or constructed or thought out or anything? Let me know. Is there anything else in the guidelines list that you are looking forward to? Any of the final issues that you are sad to see go that you should recommend to us to actually read when it comes out on trade? Is there any facsimile that you're looking forward to? Put something in a comment. If you made it this far, please hit like. And while you're there, because if you, depending on what you're going to, right next to it is also subscribe. Please subscribe. That it helps the channel greatly. I need all the help I could get, and I would appreciate it a lot. So thank you very much. But until I see you again, keep on collecting.